Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about the best picture contender, Bugonia. Now, Bugonia is a movie that had left me so angry, but I guess it's a good movie, and I understand it's going to be nominated, but we're going to go full spoilers deep down because there's no way to talk about this movie really without getting into the spoilers. So, we start off this movie with the guy from Civil War who says, "What type of American are you?" Jesse Plemons, and his Tylenol American cousin, he's a standard ugly fat white guy. And apparently they're beekeepers, but they also work at like an Amazon type warehouse thing where they pack up, boxes for deliveries and shit like that. And they talk about how there's aliens on Earth and we gotta be able to fucking be prepared for when they come because they're gonna wipe us out, and they're putting stuff in the water and the air, and we're just all gonna die. And you think, oh, these are conspiracy theorists that have exploded post-pandemic because, a year of everyone being alone and online has led to people being crazy. And we keep swapping back and forth between them and Emma Stone's character, and she is basically a Jeff Bezos mixed with the Theranos girl, and she's doing a DEI diversity video, HR nonsense, and even she's like, "This is, dumb." Like, diversity is our strength, diversity of thought, diversity of people, diversity of views, and blah, 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 blah. She gets enraged. And she's trying to make the people, leave their office at 5:30. They don't have to work so hard and things like that. And if shit like that happens. She is then driving to her compound house, and Jesse Plemons and the Tylenol American brother are somehow, in the compound already waiting, and this is where I'm already mad at the movie. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in America, if you make at least over $50,000 a year as the amount you have a house, you have Ring cameras or Simply Safe, some type of camera system everywhere, okay? Not only that, but you probably have air tags hidden in your car. This is just the realistic things of America in 2025, right? So, they try to jump her. She's apparently good at martial arts, and she fights them, and she's able to fight them off, and she's just running around in her compound. Somehow, there's no security cameras at all in her house. This is the part that already enrages me within shit like that. They end up drugging her with some type of cocktail that knocks her out. They put her in the back of her car, and they're driving away. And they live in some shitty abandoned house, out in I don't know where this town is that both there's super rich people, and then there's, trailer park trash houses that are apparently in the same town. And they work for the same company, right? Because she's the head of the Amazon type company, and he is an Amazon warehouse type person. So he begins. They put her in the house, chain her to the basement, and they've been putting antihistamine cream all over her because they think she's an Andromedan. And Teddy's been doing all this research. He's like, no screens, we can't do this. The algorithm warps her brain, and then he shaves all her hair off because apparently she can communicate if she has hair, and the cream is supposed to block the signals. So you're like, "Oh, this is standard right-wing crazy shit or whatever." And then Teddy, which is Jesse Clemens' character, explains that she has 4 days to negotiate a meeting because on the lunar eclipse, the aliens are going to apparently kill everyone on Earth. And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But then what happens is, Emma Stone's fucking character, Michelle, is saying, the police are searching for me. They're going to be able to review the footage and things like this. But from what we see, because she is fucking held captured for 4 days, and she is the head of an Amazon type company, you would think the FBI and everything is looking for it, and they would have been able to search cameras and shit like that. But for whatever reason, no cameras in her house. And this is where I'm already like, this is just unrealistic. That's the part that I'm like, unrealistic. Everyone has fucking Ring cameras, okay? this is why, at least with weapons, I was like, oh, okay, that they were using the ring footage to try to figure out where the kids went and shit like that. Okay, if you're gonna pretend certain technology does not exist that everyone has in 2025, that is bad writing. Okay, and also, she has a modern car. There would be tracking on the car. They would have been able to find the car. They would have been able to be like, there's an air tag in the car. This is where I'm just like, this is stupid. This movie has so many fucking flaws in it. It is a good movie, but only if you pretend half the technology that the head of Amazon or whatever this fucking company is would have. So she's trapped in the basement. They have these conversations, and then he goes back to work. And apparently, his coworker had an OSHA incident because she got hurt on the job. And Teddy's like, "You got to do this." And then Teddy gets pulled over by a cop played by this really fucking fat guy. And apparently, this is like to give us why Teddy is the way he is. Apparently, his babysitter when he was a kid became the sheriff of the town they live in, and apparently, like sexually abused him while growing up. It's like heavily implied. He's like, "I'm sorry," blah blah blah, and you can see like that's the damage that clearly has like why Teddy is the way he is, right? We're supposed to like feel bad, like, oh, it is the cycle of pain, right? Teddy got sexually abused as a child from his babysitter. His babysitter is now like the head of authority in this small town, and and he's like, you got to keep it quiet, blah blah blah, which is crazy because they're both. He's clearly in his 40s. Teddy's in his like late 30s, and that's what happens. So then Emma Stone is like has to because we don't think this is real. We're like, oh, this is crazy. He's like broken his mind. This is what he believes. And so Emma Stone's like, okay, I'll play along and I'll record this message that like you need to meet my friends. We got to negotiate on the lunar moon and things like that. And Teddy is angry because you think this is a joke. You're not even speaking your language and all this other shit. Then he electrocutes her and puts it very high, and in Teddy's mind, because she was able to survive that, it means she's of the royal bloodline. And we're like, oh my God, right? And then the power in the town goes out. So then Teddy makes a fancy dinner for her with spaghetti and meatballs and wine. And they have this entire conversation and they're fighting. And she angers him by using like logic, and the Tylenol American guy, Emma Stone's able to like, oh, I can manipulate him because he's dumb, because he's very dumb. And Emma Stone stabs a fork into Teddy, right? Yeah, that's what happens. This is hard to remember everything in Park. And the Tylenol American guy throws her back in the basement, and they're having a conversation. The cop comes to the house because he's like, there's reports that, a guy who looks like you was driving the car of the person that was kidnapped or whatever, and he's eating cake and a bunch of other shit. And they go to the bees, and Emma Stone is talking to the Tylenol American, the ugly fat guy, and she's like, "Come on, you gotta let me out. I'll take you to the spaceship," and things like that. And he blows his brains up right in front of her, and she's covered in guts. And the cop hears it, and then Teddy kills the cop. Then Teddy and Emma Stone have this interaction, and Emma's like, yeah, I am this queen leader, and blah, 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 blah. But I know the cure to your mother, okay? You still have my car? He's like, yeah. In my car, in the back seat, there's a bottle of antifreeze. It's the cure. It can wake her up, okay? You need to get it. It says antifreeze, but it's not antifreeze. That's how I hide it. You inject that into your mother, she'll wake up. Teddy believes this, right? Fucking crazy. And this is where the next part of like you have to break up the logic in this. Somehow he's able to get into the nursing home. He's covered in fucking blood. He's riding a bike covered in fucking blood. He's somehow able to get into this nursing home because there's no security, and he just gets into his mother's room and he injects the antifreeze into his mother's IV. And he's just there. This is where I'm like, bullshit. I don't know if you've been to any medical facility in America, but you have to check in through security and a bunch of other shit. So, this is where he would have been caught. Just realistically, I'm just like, this is fucking stupid. She dies from the antifreeze. Teddy gets angry. Teddy then heads back to the fucking. Somehow he does not get caught. Heads back to the place with Emma Stone. Emma Stone is able to break out of being chained. And we see that Teddy has been killing people for years and all this research, and Emma Stone is freaked the fuck out because he just has a jar of a bunch of dead people, which is our next part is serial killers do not really exist in the modern day anymore. You would get caught, at least after the third person. So that's happening. It's really dumb. And Emma Stone's like, okay, you know what? I'll take you to our ship. The the warp drive that goes to our ship is in my office's closet. So here's our next part of fucking nonsense. They drive to the fucking office, right? And this is a woman who's been missing for 4 days. The first security guard who let her into the fucking building would have called the cops immediately, been like, "Yo, we found the person," blah 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 blah, right? Then the next part. I don't know if you've been into buildings run by massive studios. Like when I ever go into the Iger Disney building or Hudson Yards or 30 Rock, whether you work there or not, you go through a security thing, right? They would not just let her up, even if she is the CEO, especially since she's been missing for 4 fucking days. So this happens, right? She ends up in her fucking office and she's typing in a fucking calculator, being like, "This is the code to get in." Teddy has a bomb. She has a what's it called? An a walk-in closet in the fucking office. She goes in there. She presses the button. The bomb blows up. Teddy's head ends up on her. On her. So dumb, right? And then like she's like in an ambulance and shit like has happened and like, oh, we're gonna trick you. You're okay. He's dead. Whatever. Then Emma Stone runs out of the ambulance back into the office that had a bomb go off, and she goes into her closet. And apparently, the whole thing is true. She is an alien. And then they kill everybody on Earth. This movie is fucking stupid. Okay, it's so fucking stupid, and I'm mad that this movie's gonna get a Best Picture nomination when it should, because I'm not gonna vote for it.